For the sixth time in March Springer, the Colorado Avalanche sweep their way through a playoff round as they handled the LA Kings in 4 games. The most definitive game coming in this fourth and final, a 5-1 victory. Empty netter for Nathan MacKinnon, his second goal and third point of the afternoon, as Colorado now at the very earliest will play the winner of Minnesota and Dallas as early as 6 days from now. It can be as late as next Monday. They get some time off. They can chill. They can rest, relax, get those bumps and bruises healed up for what will be assuredly a way more difficult second round.
Yeah. Shout out to Minnesota getting that overtime win yesterday. And yeah, if it goes 7, it'll be next Monday probably. If it goes 6 or fewer, maybe next Saturday or Sunday. Time off for Scott Wedgwood because, he's never started this many consecutive starts, even though he looks great. And I think we're at the point with Scott Wedgwood where even if he has a bad start, like let's say he has a rough game 1 against whomever, it's just his net right now.
Yep, you're just riding him.
Yeah, especially now that they get at least 6 days off or so. So you don't have to worry about him just, going out. This didn't go 7. It's not going to be a quick turnaround. Man, if that goes 7 and it's tied at 2, if Stars Wild goes 7, then that game 7 is Saturday night. And it's just going to be, it's going to be a long week, but they're going to have to turn around. And then after a game 7, in which we've seen multiple overtime periods, they're going to have to turn around and play on a Monday night, and the Avs would have had 8 days off. That's going to be wild. And right now it's 2-2, and that easily could go 7. It's probably been destined for 7. I'm certainly rooting for it. At this point, I just want that thing to go 7. I want the 8 days off. I want Josh Manson to get as healed as possible. I want Nazem Kadri's finger to get as healed as possible. But that was just, that was taking care of business, and it worked out great. It worked out great because it gave you 5 to 10 real-time minutes of just some Anze Kopitar love. Mm-hmm. And he didn't get that love. You can't talk about Anze Kopitar romantically for 5 straight minutes on a broadcast unless that thing is signed, sealed, and delivered. And that's exactly what it was. So, yeah, not the way he wanted to go out, but at least a lot was brought to the attention of the career that he had.
Kopitar had a sensational career. He retires after 1,500 games, 1,300 points, 2 cups, 3 Lady Bings, 2 Selkies, a Messier Award. He captained the LA Kings after they moved on from Dustin Brown. Those 2012 and 2014 Stanley Cup championships. He lived up to the billing as an 11th overall pick all the way back in the 2005 NHL entry draft. He's the first NHL hockey player to reach those heights from the country of Slovenia. He was drafted the same year as Sidney Crosby and Carey Price and other all-time greats from that 2005 NHL draft. Chris Letang, TJ Oshie, Keith Yandel. I wouldn't put Yandel and Paul Stastny in the all-time great conversation, but I do put Carey Price and Sidney Crosby and Chris Letang certainly in that conversation. He lived up to the billing. He was excellent. It was time for him to move on. While still, when he had the puck and when he was close to the play, I thought he was effective. It's just clear that after 20 years, his legs don't have it anymore, and he doesn't have the explosiveness. He only had 38 points this year's spring, which is a far cry from what he normally is. And it's amazing. For a guy that played 1,500 games and had 1,300 points, he never had a 100-point season.
Marty Necas just have 100 points? Yeah, he got the 100th point. Nate got him the 100th point. Yeah. Games changed a little bit over the course of his career. It's opened up a little bit. And you see Doughty out there, and this is a team that as an 8 seed had won a cup. It's, and they traded for Panarin, but it's the end of that era. Jonathan Quick just retired. And for the Avs to be playing Kopitar in his last game, and they won 2 cups. You got to go get 2 cups. It's you're seeing the past right in front of you. Like the Avs saw the past right in front of their very eyes today, but they're the present, so they need to go get 2 cups. They're primed to go get 2 cups. Is it scary? Is scary the right word? That it couldn't be going better right now? Because Raj, could it not be going better? I don't see anything you look at with this team right now and say, "Oh, I don't like that." It's like it's going to play the power play, I guess. They finally got a power play goal. You think you're going to keep the Avs without a power play goal for a full series? No. You give them a full series, they got one in them.
Yeah, so they went 10%. They went 10% Spring. So yeah, that does concern me a little bit. However, I do agree with Nate. If you guys heard his interview with Moj and Riker after this, was it the first period? Yeah, after the first period. Nate was like, we've been moving the puck better and we've gotten our chances. We just haven't scored. So I'm liking what we're doing. The zone entries have been better. They've had better offensive zone time and not having those crazy bad turnovers at the top of the zone. 10% is not where you want it. I do think the power play operated better than the 10% number. I still think that it has to be 20% to beat Dallas. It can't, if Dallas is showing up and you're ripping at 10%, I'm really nervous you lose the series. So yeah, there's one thing I'm nervous about. Everything else, man, they're firing on all cylinders. Manson got the day. Manson's going to be able to recover for almost 10 days from whatever that rib injury is. It gives Nazem Kadri 10 days to chill out and get his hand completely right. It resets the clock on Scott Wedgwood, right? So what I've been nervous about, right? Spring, I've talked about it damn near to the point where I've been blue in the face. I think the worst case scenario is Wedgwood plays poorly for a couple of games. You have to go to Blackwood and he hasn't started in 3.5 weeks. You get to start the clock over for Scott Wedgwood. We're not in Linus Ullmark territory, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens when you sweep, and he didn't slow down at all. So I don't, and we had to see it, right? You got to see it first before you understand. Okay. How did it play out? Well, we've seen how it played out, and Scott Wedgwood looks fine. There's no, conditioning thing. The moment's not too big for him. So he's ready to go for this second round series. And now the questions really go away. It's his net. It's his net until he has one really bad start, should that come. And even if that does come, he's probably earned grace at this point. So I think we learned really in this series that it's his net, and then he's gotten really good defense in front of him. And Raj, the best defenseman in the world, is showing. I mean, there's zero doubt right now. There's zero doubt what Kale's doing. Right, Kale's doing the thing that you want the superstar to do, especially when he's not going to win the Norris. He kind of fell out of favor there, and Werenski takes it, and he doesn't win a gold medal. Quinn Hughes does. No, he is making it crystal clear right now who the best defenseman in the world is, and we all knew it. If you watch him night in, night out, you know it. But it starts with Kale, and Devon Taves is scoring. When that pair is scoring, and they're really pretty goals from both of them, and you're allowing one goal per game in this series. I mean, it's Wedgie, but it's also the defense, and then it's Kale offensively looking like a superstar.
Right. I think the big thing to pay attention for Kale is the fact that they are generating so much offense at 5-on-5 when he's on the ice, and so many grade A scoring opportunities. And finally, they're scoring on them. I know goals were tough to come by in 2 of these 4 games. Honestly, 3 of these 4 games, they were very difficult to come by because of how good Anton Forsberg was. We can talk about the power play last year with Dallas, and that's the reason why you lost. The other reason why is because Cale Makar wasn't scoring. He had 1 goal that came from 180 feet away on an empty net in that series. If he is playing like he did against LA, creating the same offense, hitting the net, actually scoring, it drastically changes who Colorado is.
Yeah, his move on Taylor Ward it reminded me, it didn't have a little spinorama the other way cut, but it reminded me of the Blackhawks overtime winner just this time on the right side of the ice, and just a move to get him space and clear the checking forward and to score that way. I mean, that's vintage Kale. He's locked in right now. Nate looked good tonight. Nate just looked good. Forsberg had a really good glove save on Nate just in the slot. They don't. Nate just didn't score in this series. McKinnon finally gets on the board via power play goal and empty net goal, but those two are going to break out. Brock Nelson had an empty net goal. He's going to get going. Val had a good series. They're all cylinders, man. Just I can't look at one area of this team. Nick Blankenberg steps in, laid a hit on Alex Turcotte that kind of backfired on him. But you know what? He prevented a rush. Little 5'7". I swear that dude's 5'7". Nick Blankenberg. That's
and you know what?
I'm not seeing Sam Girard lay hits like that. So good for him coming in for Manson. They're just Kulak's played well. Malinsky's had moments again tonight. Everyone, top to bottom. How about the scrum with the Drury line and Jack Drury? The Kings, that was desperation, man. That was, we're down a goal. We're down 3-0. We got to do something. Avs end up on a power play. Can't do anything with it. But it's top to bottom, man. Everyone's playing well right now. Nick Waugh scores again. Everyone's playing well.
How about Blankenberg? The most important thing he did tonight was just simply step on the ice, because if Colorado goes on to win a Stanley Cup championship, he is automatically on the cup now. Automatically.
Minutes.
You have to record. You have to record any type of time on ice in at least one playoff game, or you have to play 41 games for the team in the regular season to be eligible to have your name. So Blankenberg locked that in today if Colorado goes all the way.
Good for him.
Yeah, pretty cool. It was a solid game, man. Like LA, it's just so abundantly clear that team just wasn't good enough. And to take the Suter, or rather the Sutter quote from a few years ago, back when the Avs won the Cup in 21-22, it was a waste of 8 days for DJ Smith and the LA Kings. Congratulations on getting into the postseason. You should feel good about that. Anton Forsberg should get you juiced up for next season. You do have a good young core like Mikey Anderson and Brant Clark and Kevin Fiala and Adrian Kempe, Quentin Byfield. Like, there's some solid players on that LA team. They are miles away from being able to compete with a club like Colorado. And this should have been a sweep. There's a reason why I called this in 4. Now, don't ask me what the prediction was for the Minnesota and Denver series in the NBA, because I think I might have gone 5 for Denver in that one. Whoops. Now we await, just like in 2022 spring, now we await what will assuredly be the most difficult series you'll play the entire postseason. Just like in 2022, the hardest series they played was the second round against the St. Louis Blues. That will be the case in 26 against Dallas or Minnesota.
Yeah. And before we shift forward, and I do want to shift forward, just, on the Kings, Anton Forsberg, fun little story. Came on late in the season for them, last like 2 weeks of the season, and then stole that job from Darcy Kemper. Good little story. Wedgwood's a better story. You mentioned a lot of, solid offerings that the Kings have. Alex Laferriere is on their top line. This dude did nothing for them in the playoffs, and he scored 21 goals this season. Parker Kelly scored 20 goals. And that dude's on their top line. It's different. And Alex Turcotte, who Blankenberg laid that hit on, that was a top 5 pick for them. And he's turned into nothing. That's the differences. These are the differences, in these moments. And that's what leads to a sweep. This is going to be the toughest series they play. I'm impressed with Carolina sweeping Ottawa. Carolina looks good right now.
Carolina is suffocating.
Yeah.
Dude, Ottawa had Ottawa couldn't score. They couldn't do a damn thing.
Because I am starting to think about, okay, who is going to come out of the East? Because,
Buffalo had one bad game, man. Now look at Buffalo.
6-0 today.
6-1, I think.
6-1. Boston got a nothing something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that Buffalo versus Tampa/Montreal series is going to be really fun. I think Carolina's going to walk either Philly or Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh staying alive in that one. Logan Stankoven, I think, scored 4 goals in that series. That's huge. He has good playoff numbers. They need that. losing Natchez and Rantanen, and in an era, in a window right now, in a little pocket right now where that East is there for them. Like, Carolina really does kind of look like the favorite to come out of that. But, again, whoever comes on the other side of that bracket, that's going to be a fun Eastern Conference Finals. If it is Carolina, it's going to be tough. Like, Carolina looks good right now. They look formidable. Buffalo, Montreal, Tampa, should it be one of them? They're tough too. But Dallas, Minnesota coming up. I mean, this is it. This is the matchup, and it's coming in the second round of the playoffs.
It's going to be a bloodbath, man. I think every Avs fan should be begging for the Minnesota Wild after you've seen what Dallas can do. What's so frustrating about the Dallas Stars is that you can dominate them 5-on-5. You can crush them in a series 5-on-5, not just from a puck possession standpoint, from a scoring standpoint. You can outscore them at will at 5-on-5, and they'll never be out of a series because of how damn good that power play is. That's the reason why I want Minnesota.
I would prefer Minnesota as well, but I mean, look, that series is tied at 2. Like, Minnesota's showing you right now why I did think for the better part of this season, they're the third best team in the NHL. And you know what I love that Minnesota has done? They've done the same thing that the Avs did. They just said, fuck it. We're going with Jesper Wallstedt. Like, Philip Gustafsson, you were good. Wallstedt, and you got like more of our starts because Wallstedt's a rookie. And Wallstedt had the better numbers throughout the year. And here in winning time, they said, nope, Jesper, it's your job. And the Avs said, Scott Wedgwood, it's your job. That goalie that Minnesota has is really good. Jake Ottinger's a good goalie. I'm telling you, dude, Wallstedt looks like a future Hall of Famer in his rookie season. He looks like the real deal, dude. This is the best rookie season I've seen from a goaltender in some time.
Dang, all right.
And then obviously trading for Hughes and going all in. They're tough. They're really tough. So I think, I would prefer Minnesota. But even if it is Minnesota, I still think that is still the best remaining matchup. I'm taking Minnesota over Carolina, over whoever. That's a reason that series is tied at 2. And I feel like it's going 7. I hope it goes 7. That's going to be a fun watch on Saturday. And that's a popcorn to me, just like kill each other. Whatever.
Play 17 overtimes.
I want all the fights. I want all the shenanigans.
Yeah.
Blood on the ice. Like, what a week. It's like we're the fans. We're going to Cancun this week. We get to just have a week off.
I mean, listen to this. Through 4 games, Brock Faber and Quinn Hughes have played 126 and 134 minutes, respectively. Miro Heiskanen has 126. Esa Lindell has 129. Cale Makar, before tonight's game, how many did he play tonight, Spring?
How many minutes did Cale play tonight?
Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, he played 23-17.
Cale's played 100. Cale's played 103. Like, and these guys have at least 2 more games left where they're playing 28 minutes a night if it goes regulation. They're playing 35 if it goes to 1 overtime. They're playing 45 if it goes to 2. Those are some heavy legs that are about to come and play you. And those four players that I just mentioned, like, those are your top defensemen. Those are your catalysts for those 2 teams, Faber and Hughes, and then Heiskanen and Esa Lindell. Man, I think the Lee and Bichel and Myers grouping whenever they're out on the ice together has been a disaster for Dallas so far. Keep running those dudes into the ground. Beg for overtime. Beg for 7 games. I know everyone gets nervous about rust and rest. Fuck that. Make these teams go the distance.
100%. Yeah, the workload on these dudes, those are great numbers right there. It's going to be night and day what the winner of that series versus the Avs is going to have on their legs going in round 2. I don't worry about rust. Cale Makar missed, a couple weeks there down the stretch. Didn't really need to play, but they wanted to give him a tune-up in Calgary, and I know it's Calgary. I think Calgary beat the Stars down the stretch, but either way, or maybe it was a close overtime loss, whatever. Cale looked amazing in that game after 2-ish weeks off, and he's clearly carried that over. you look back to game one, McKinnon and Nate just didn't play in the Kraken finale. Yeah, maybe they were a little out of sync in the first 10 minutes of that first period. Nathan McKinnon and Marty Natchez, with as little run on their bodies, as less banged up as I can possibly have them, they'll figure it out 3 shifts in. Now, they're too good. They're too elite. They're focused in right now. I don't worry about rust at all. This is the benefit. This is why the regular season was so important. This is why the 1 seed was so important. There's no jinx here. This is why it all mattered. This is why the past 5 months mattered, is you put yourself in favorable positions like this.
Who was your favorite player for Colorado in the first round outside of Scott Wedgwood?
Cale Makar. I think ultimately, that was the guy who played at Hall of Fame level, which is, okay. Number 2 would be I want to go Lehkonen. I want to go Arturi Lehkonen.
His shift today on the first power play of the game for LA. Did you see how pissed off Artemi Panarin got? Dude, that was, talk about my favorite play today. That was my favorite sequence of hockey. I don't remember. I think it was like 2 minutes into the game. Lecky's out there against Panarin. He's up at the top, probably the last 45 seconds of the power play, and Lehkonen hounds him from the middle of the ice all the way to the bench side boards, dispossesses him, gets the puck out of the zone, and then gets cross-checked in the ribs and goes down to the ice. Panarin was livid that Lecky was just a dog on the bone. I love that pick for you. Lehkonen was going to be in my top 3. Okay. I think it's easy. I'm not like knocking the pick of Cale Makar. I think it's stupid when people are like, "Oh yeah, the best player was the best player." I thought Nick Waugh had a sensational series. I thought Nick Waugh more than justified the first round pick and the 5th round pick that they gave up to Toronto for him. He looked every piece the player of a playoff center / wing in your middle 6. He can play 2nd, 3rd, or 4th line. He can play power play minutes. He can go out there in the PK. He can win you a draw. He's a prick to play against, and he's not as slow as I thought he was going to be. Now, comparatively, Nazem Kadri, I don't know what those legs are doing, man. I'm nervous about those. Maybe it's just like he's a little injured with the hand and not everything's going. Nick Waugh rocked.
Net front Nick Waugh. Like, that dude, he's not a burner. We knew that coming in. He doesn't have a ton of speed, but he's good with his positioning, good with his body, and he gets net front, and he gathers rebounds, and he tips pucks in, and he's calm, and he's composed, and he throws his weight around, and he forechecks, and he's professional. And that third line, when Kadri's finger is right, you're telling me your third line is Kadri, Landeskog, Waugh? Like, that's a professional second line. And, I noticed some shifts today where, Landeskog was up with McKinnon and Natchez, and Lehkonen floated down. And Landeskog, he's on the third line. That's unbelievable. And Kadri, should be better than that too, but he's got a broken finger right now, so you can hide him there a little bit, and that's where he's going to play anyways because of how deep they are. And I would go Logan O'Connor, in the same breath as Lehkonen, because to me, those were the 2 players in this series, through the 4 games who just hunted pucks the most and were the biggest pests. And, when you watch the Avs, everyone thinks about McKinnon and Makar and Natchez and the speed, but it's the Lehkonens and the O'Connors that just piss you off and keep pucks in and activate on rushes with speed. So Logan O'Connor to me was, I would put him top 5 for me in this series.
It's funny because if you look at the team penalty killing percentages, Colorado is 13th out of 16 teams in the postseason right now, and it doesn't feel like that at all. Right? Like the penalty kill feels like it was one of the best spots that the Avalanche had in these 4 games. Going into this game, they killed 77% of the penalties that they took. I think that's a strength going into round 2 for them. So I think that's where science is going to be a liar sometimes to steal something from Always Sunny. Drury was awesome on the PK. Lehkonen was fantastic. Kelly was great. O'Connor was even better than them. Val Nichushkin, dude. Val Nichushkin, man. It's
he had
so
another
painful.
breakout on a kill today where he was just too strong on a pass to whoever was with him.
O'Connor.
And of course it's O'Connor because he breaks out on every shorthanded rush. He just puts his head down and he just goes. And he puts himself in good spots. Yeah, Nichushkin, he had a great series, and I don't think he scored in the series. He's due. It's they're prime. They're prime. They are absolutely prime. The Sam Malinsky would be, a top 10 guy for me in this series. I thought he was just extremely solid and noticeable defensively. And he had some bombs. Again, they didn't score. Forsberg was great for them. The Kings defense is good. They got their looks. They were dangerous. Today was one of those days where the stats even out a little bit. You get your 5 goals. You get your points on 3 points getters on these 5 goals. They'll do that, and it's going to open up a little bit. It's because Dallas and Minnesota have more punch offensively. They're going to break out offensively more. You will see higher scoring games, or maybe you won't because Scott Wedgwood is so good. And whether it's Volstead or Ottinger, those are good goaltenders too. But I think we are going to see the ice open up more in the second round.
Without a doubt. Like it's going to be fast paced, way more in the neutral zone. Both of those teams, Minnesota and Dallas, like to move the puck. Dallas is a elite offensive break when they get quick turnovers in their defensive zone. Like if you turn the puck over on their defensive dot line, they're coming at you at 3-on-2 with a crazy amount of speed. So what is going to be really important in a series against the Dallas Stars is a third high forward. You can't have 3 guys stuck below the hash marks because it's to be a 3-on-2 coming back against you, and Dallas will eviscerate you on rush chances, right? You absolutely cannot have 3 guys below the goal line and lose possession of the puck. Obviously, we've talked about the power play that it's the reason why the series is 2-2 with Minnesota. Minnesota has taken too many dumb penalties, and Dallas right now is clipping at an unbelievable 42% through 5 games. You can't take penalties against Dallas. Minnesota is going to be easier to play for me in zone, like in the offensive zone, than Dallas. I think they're going to be more difficult to play in the neutral zone than Dallas will. They've got a little bit more size with their wingers, and I think their defensemen kill plays in the neutral zone a little bit better than Dallas's does, especially that top unit of Faber and Hughes.
When I think about, the breakouts that, they're going to see in the next series, I'm very thankful for getting Kulak instead of Girard.
Dude, Kulak rocks.
I know he does, because, it's going to be so important. We saw, when they broke down defensively in last year's first round series, and when they've had those moments in recent years, that the defensemen can just be kind of, feet in cement. And they got to be physical. You got to bang them around a little bit. Obviously, we trust Makar and Taves, and Malinsky's come on. And without Manson, having Kulak blocked 5 shots in this game, which was by far and away the most for the Avs. It just adds this level of responsibility. Like, I trust and if Blankenberg needs to keep playing, so be it. But I trust all their defensemen to at least be like Girard was kind of a little bit of a black hole in these areas. When you're going up against these bigger, more physical, faster, get out teams, you don't need Girard's puck movement right now. You have that in other forms. Kulak shores up that defense, and you have the hottest goaltender in the NHL behind it all. I think the Kings are better offensively than what they showed in this series. They just got stymied by the hottest goaltender and a great defense. Not that the Kings are excellent, but I'm telling you, if there is more, it's not so much, the Kings are just deficient offensively. I think it is a more credit to the Avs defense and the goaltending. I think they both things a little away.
I think both things can be true at the same time.
Sure.
Right? I don't believe Scott Wedgwood was great because the LA Kings suck.
But we were praising Wedgie because they had some looks on him where he had to make big boy saves.
Right. I think Wedgwood was fantastic, and I also don't believe the LA Kings are a good offensive hockey team. I think it showed out in this series. They just didn't have anywhere near enough. Wedgwood had to make some big time saves. And he had to make some big time saves early in this game, especially in that second period when LA was the better of the two clubs, especially when they cut the lead from 2-0 down to 2-1. And it felt like, oh, could this game go either way? I sent out the picture of Daryl Sutter and his 8 days quote, and Los Angeles scored maybe 45 seconds because the fucking Raj curse lives on. I don't want this power. I just have it. I got nervous at that point because I thought LA was going to start really buzzing and really humming. And Wedgwood made that that one crazy save in a sequence where he was like on his back and he had to turn around and face the puck, made a crazy save on his blocker's side. And then at that point, you knew they're not going to do anything. Like the next goal is everything. Colorado gets it. Game over, series over. Wedgwood was excellent. He was not excellent because LA is bad. LA just also happens to not really have anything offensively.
I do think though that it maybe could still be a lower scoring series coming up than some might anticipate because Wedgwood's been that good. The defense
He'll have to be better. That's the crazy thing.
I know you do have to be better, but and it really was just like one goal a game that they allowed in this series. And that's playoff hockey too. You know, it's defense and goaltending. When you can lean on that and you know you have the horses to get you 2 to 3, like that's when you're complete. And that's what this team is right now. Like there will be a game in this second round series that is more like 2-1. And you can steal that 2-1 game. You know, when you look back on the Georgiev era, you're just not stealing that 2-1 game. Even against a higher powered offensive team like Dallas or even Minnesota. But they can steal a 2-1 game in this second round series because that's how good Wedgwood looked in this series and the defense looked in this series.
Evan Rowell just sat in the DJ Smith post-series presser, and Smith said at 5-on-5, Colorado did not give LA a breakaway or a 2-on-1. The only breakaway they had was the Byfield breakaway that was awarded a penalty shot, and then you sickos at Ball Arena shattered glass. So again, good on you. I'm proud of you. That's insane.
Yeah,
that's nuts. That you defended that.
So what is it? It's it's the chicken or the egg. Is it the Kings offense or the Avs defense? Like you said, probably a little of both. But that's incredible. You know, I mean, because my gosh, in last year's Dallas Stars first round series, you know, when the Stars had their moments, you know, I think it was that game 6 at Ball Arena that we were at. And I'm just like, what is with these defensive breakdowns? Like Mikko Rantanen has all the space and they are just a step behind. And and I know that this isn't Dallas, but there was there were 0 breakaways allowed in this series. I mean, that's still 0. So not a single
yeah, they're still National Hockey League players.
Yeah. And you're going to have one of those in a series. As I said, Kings are a formidable team. The defense is playing really well right now. And obviously Wedgwood is too, but that's on the defense. You know, they're not even letting that easy. They're not putting Wedgwood in that perilous position or whoever their goaltender is.
No, they're going to be fine. There's a reason why they were the number 1 offense and number 1 defense in the league. Like
I think Cale Makar might be sniffing Conn Smythe number 2.
I mean, right now he's the leader in the clubhouse. Wedgwood's close to him. If it's just Colorado, right? We're just going to take a Colorado nomination. It is Makar, very close, a second on Wedgwood. Maybe it might be first. I mean, he only gave up.
Honestly, you could say Wedgwood.
He gave up 5 goals. Is that what he gave up? 6, something like that.
Yeah, I mean the goals against was like 1-3 coming into tonight, and it was a 1-er. So he
gave up 5.
Yeah,
5 total goals in the first round. It's the second lowest total by an Avalanche goaltender in a 7-game series. The only netminders to have allowed fewer: Philip Grubauer in 2020 against Arizona. Patrick Waugh in 1996 against Florida in the Stanley Cup final. Patrick Waugh only let up 5 goals in the Stanley Cup final. That is ridiculous.
That doesn't exist anymore. That's why he's might be the GOAT.
That is insane.
Yeah. That Arizona series, wasn't that like a play-in series due to the bubble. Was
Yes.
that like, so that was like, thanks for coming. Like, well, here's a cute little ticket to the dance, Arizona. Therefore, Philip Grubauer can only allow 5 goals against that team.
I think
That is,
Connor Ingram was the goaltender for Arizona that year.
that checks out. That checks out. Kale only scored once in last year's Dallas series. I think that's north of 1 coming up, but the defense he's playing 2 right now, and he's got to, okay, fine, you don't win a Norris, but you can go win yourself another Conn Smythe.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah. And just, and maybe it is Minnesota, and maybe it's the Quinn versus Kale thing. Maybe we're getting that. Haskinen's pretty good too, so no matter what, you're going up against, one of those elite level peers. The way Kale is playing right now, and I know Wedgwood will get the credit, but it starts with Kale as well defensively. Why they allowed 5 goals? So if you're looking defensively, why they allowed 5 goals? I mean, Kale to me was everywhere defensively in this series.
Dude, if he wins another one, he will be only the second defenseman in NHL history to have won 2 Conn Smythe awards. The only other one, it should be very obvious.
It would be my guess.
It's Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
That's it. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players that have won 2 or more Conn Smythes. Patrick Waugh is the only one to win 3 or has 2. Bernie Parent of the Philadelphia Flyers, the Hall of Fame goaltender, has 2. Gretzky 2, Lemieux 2, and Sidney Crosby 2.
What a list.
What a list.
And if Kale were to join that, and right now, hell, even if Scott Wedgwood won himself a Conn Smythe, how cool would that be? Who are the
like craziest I was gonna say black horse, dark horse type of Conn Smythe winners that we've seen?
When Jean-Sebastien Giguère won, but he was a loser. He lost the Cup Finals. That's
lost to the Devils that year.
For the Ducks, he was so good that they still gave it to him. But it's like that. It's like what Wedgie's doing right now reminds me of that.
Like Tim Thomas?
Yeah.
Cam Ward?
A little different, but yeah.
Little different, I agree. Ron Hextall, not so much. Hextall was a better, more established goaltender at that point in his career. Yeah, I think he probably hit it on the head there with Tim Thomas, or rather, we found it with Tim Thomas and Jean-Sebastien Giguère. Jiggy's probably the number one. That's the closest thing you have to it.
That's the Wedgie comp, because Giguère did kind of come out of nowhere that season to just be nails, and Wedgwood has done kind of the same thing. And Giguère he was an Avs goalie after that, but he never reached that level that he was that season again. In fact, he never came close.
No shot. So he won the Conn Smythe in 2002, 2003, which would have been his age 25 season. He had only played like 120 games up until that point, like going into that playoff run.
So there's your difference from him to Wedgwood. He didn't quite have the overall NHL experience. But he did because Wedgwood, he went from, solid to best goalie in the league.
Right.
For like 10 years.
Isn't it crazy how like
best goalie in the league?
The Avs are going to have 2 players during the regular season that were, well, I don't know. I think it's different. Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the world. He did not have the best season of defensemen this year. There were other D-men that had better seasons. Cale is still the best defenseman in the world. Scott Wedgwood is not the best goalie in the world. He had the best season of any goalie this year in the regular season. And neither one of them are going to win awards, which is really odd, right? Because like you could look at Cale and go, yeah, you deserve another Norris, but the voters will say you didn't have the best season. So why isn't that logic thrown at Scott Wedgwood when we're talking about Vezina trophies?
Because Zach Werenski got to start every game, like, north of 75 or something like that. Whereas Wedgwood got all said and done like 2/3-ish of the Avs starts. And that's a shame. Because, yeah, like Vasilevsky's the best goaltender in the world, and he had a really good season, but Wedgwood actually had a better one.
Mm-hmm.
But Vasilevsky started more games.
Also, man, I know the voting is done at the end of the regular season, which sucks, but like imagine Wedgwood just goes on this run and the Avs go to the promised land, even if Wedgie doesn't win a Conn Smythe, but the Avs win a cup. And he is one of the main reasons, one of the top 3 reasons why they win the cup. And Vazzy gets like bounced in the first round by Montreal. How dumb you're going to look that was your Vezina Trophy winner. And that's a legit thing that could happen this year.
Oh, yeah. That's
Tampa and Montreal tied at 0 right now, 2 minutes into the second period.
Yep. Gosh, whoever plays Buffalo in that second round, it's going to be awesome. I kind of hope it's Montreal. I picked Montreal.
I want it to be Montreal.
And that would mean that Vazzy's out in round 1 and Scott. Yeah, it's dude. I've always thought sport to sport MVP should not be voted on until after the postseason. I think it's ridiculous. I've always hated that. I've hated that for years.
I understand why though, because like there's a postseason MVP trophy.
But they're not watching. They can't possibly watch it all.
Correct.
So now's the time of year where everyone kind of is watching. You know, like I was watching a lot of Hurricane Senators yesterday, and I'm not watching a lot of Hurricane Senators throughout the regular season. Like I'm scoreboard watching, I'm looking at stats, but I'm not like truly watching the games night in, night out. And when you watch Scott Wedgwood in these 4 games, it's clear that, it's not just because the Avs are really good. And that's why they, the team in front of him. And you should also kind of maybe put 2 and 2 together and say, well, the Avs are a lighter, less defensive leaning team, even though they do play good defense, but that's not their bread and butter. You would say, well, that's even more impressive that Wedgwood had those numbers, but they'll just look at it and say, but the Avs are the best team in the league. So therefore their goalie just got a little lucky, but you watch him night in, night out. There's no luck. No, and the saves are incredible.
Like he is a distinct reason why they are such a freaking, I don't want to use the term, why they're so dominant. I'm not using the term.
Why they are a structure with wheels.
Yes.
That was used in the olden days.
Yeah. I don't want to use the term right now. Why they're such a dominant team. He is a main reason. So I guess I'll ask that question is, yeah, it frustrates you. Do you feel as though we look at the Conn Smythe as a more prestigious award than the Hart or the Vezina? Because
maybe not the Hart. The Hart would just be the one. The MVP, like the overall MVP to me. The Norris and the Vezina are obviously like the next 2. But the MVP to me is the one that's like, okay, that's cool. Like I'd rather Conn Smythe is more important than Norris or Vezina to me. How about that? Because if you go, like you can be a great regular season goalie or defenseman, but if you aren't sniffing anything in the playoffs, like who really cares?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of forget, like you forget that Ilya Sorokin won a Vezina sometimes, like whatever, But when you go win a Conn, like I will never forget J.S. Shiger winning a Conn Smythe because of how good he was in that Stanley Cup final, really that whole playoff run for Anaheim. Because again, that's when everyone's watching, and it's also when it's the most important. I think winning a Conn Smythe is second to a Hart.
Okay, so we go Hart, Conn Smythe, and then I would probably throw Vezina there, and then the Norris.
3, Norris 4, yeah.
Right. Okay, I can deal with that.
So if you're Wedgie and you go win a Conn Smythe, to me, that's better than a Vezina, Like that's because you were the most important reason why your team won a Stanley Cup in the most important part of the season. Yeah.
Think about how good Scott Wedgwood has to be to win a Conn Smythe with Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon on his team.
Yeah.
Like Scott Wedgwood has to have one of the greatest statistical runs in NHL history to steal that away from Cale or from Nate. And right now the ranking, if you just take the Avs, is Makar, Wedgwood, MacKinnon, probably in that order right now. He has to be he's got to be like 2012 Jonathan Quick to win this thing.
Yeah, he's going to have multiple saves, memorable saves. because it can't just be the numbers. It has to be moments where you say, "Oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
the game." Like an overtime save where like the game would have been over if Scott Wedgwood didn't just do what he did. And that's
Dude, it's funny because he's a Jonathan Quickie like
yeah.
he's a Quickie like goaltender.
Yeah, they're
Just
similar
remember those
styles.
12 and 14 runs where Jonathan Quick is just like freaking flopping all over the place. He's not an overly large goaltender, Jonathan Quick, and neither is Scott Wedgwood, but they're Gumby. They're not Dominic Hasek, but they're doing their best impersonation of him. They are very similar goaltenders in terms of their style.
And, because and it only has to be that good for Wedgwood, as you said, because Makar and McKinnon are on the team. So then McKinnon's going to get going. Hell, he's got two. It was that type of season where he did get some empty net goals and he won a rocket, So Nate got an empty and a power play today, and bam, he's already at 2 goals. And that he's just won't be able to help himself, and he's gonna put up numbers. And Makar's off to an amazing start, and he's gonna continue to put up numbers. That's how good Wedgie has to be to win this thing. And that he's not thinking like, hey, have breakdowns in front of me so that I can make awesome saves to win a Conn Smythe because I need these style points. He doesn't care about that at all. But the next round he's going to be put in position where he's going to have to, because there's just going to be simply too much offensive talent on the other
Without
side.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
Going to have to. It'll be no knock on the Avs defense. He's going to have to make those big time saves. And maybe I hope that when it's all said and done, that let's say Wedgwood has an amazing second round series against the Stars, perhaps, that weeks pass, and Wedgwood doesn't have to be as amazing as he, potentially would have to be in this Dallas series, that people like forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's more ho-hum in a routine Stanley Cup Finals win, and they hold against the fact that, the Stanley Cup Finals actually took place 3 weeks ago.
Right, we're screaming into these microphones about like, do you remember what he did against Jason Robertson and Logan
that
Stanley?
was important because that was actually the Cup Finals.
That would be a wonderful place to be, wouldn't it?
Right.
Well, he already has one Heisman moment, right? He's got the penalty shot save against Byfield, so he's got one in his bag. I agree with you, man. Whether it's Minnesota or Dallas in round 2, there will be, if they get past round 2, and that's still a big if, those two teams, Minnesota and Dallas, are just as deserving of winning a cup, maybe just a tick below you right now, but still in that same conversation as deserving of winning a cup this year. They are unbelievable hockey teams. If they get through round 2, I think you're 100% right. He'll have another 3 or 4 or 5 highlight reel moments that are the reason why they move on to the Western Conference Final again, Spring.
Yeah, no, they're going to need him, and it's his net right now. We are official, and look, we didn't know. We had no idea how this was going to play out, because coming into this season, nobody probably would have predicted that Scott Wedgwood that we would be here. That not only would Wedgwood have maintained his 1A status throughout the entire season, but that he would just continue to get better, and then he would just take a control of the one job throughout the first round series. Like, you couldn't have predicted it from the start of the season. You had to just kind of see how it went as it did go. And now that we're here, and as good as Mackenzie Blackwood is, it's his net. It's just his net right now.
Without a doubt. All right, Spring, I think that's a wrap on round 1. And as we await the winner of Dallas and Minnesota, man, we could be doing our first post-game show as early as Saturday of next weekend. We could start it as late as Monday of next week, not next week, but the following week. We hope it's that Monday or that Tuesday after a 7-game bloodbath between Minnesota and Dallas. So again, as early as Saturday, as late as Monday. Don't know what that schedule is going to be. I wouldn't say it's a ho-hum sweep. That was a well-earned sweep against a team in LA that played 3.5 perfect games against you.
Well, it became ho-hum because the Avs played their best hockey.
Yes.
So then there became no way. It became impossible for the Kings to win that series.
No way is a great way to put it. It was not ho-hum, it was no way. I'm going to steal that.
Well, but that's a credit to the Avs, because they're the better. But you got to show up and you got to play the games, and you got to play at your best level. And when you do that, the rest takes care of itself. And that's how the series played out. And now they get the luxury of 8 days off. and just a little Josh Manson injury that really also could have been a carryover from what he was dealing with down the stretch of the season. So you came away from it about as unscathed as you realistically could have asked for.
All right, Spring, get out of here. I hope I don't talk to you again on these airwaves, on these digital airwaves until next Monday. But Avs sweep their way through the first round. We await Minnesota or Dallas in round 2. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Montreal and Tampa Bay playing right now. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. with Brett King. We're giving away Game 5 tickets for the Nuggets and the Timberwolves all day long. It's not going to be the same thing where you listen for a keyword and then you text it in. It's going to be a little bit different. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for a chance to win those and see if the Nuggets can revive themselves without Anthony Edwards to play against, without Dante DiVincenzo to play against, because they have to summon the 2022 bubble series if they want to save the Jokic era, save his legacy. You got to come back from down 3-1.